I feel like I've taught brass techniques for a number of years. I've taught it at a couple of different institutions, and I feel like there's kind of this mantra of the one page handout says Bach 7C, Bach 5C, Bach 3C. And that's often a way, like kind of a default way that people say, this is how you can start your trumpets and this is how you can progress your trumpets. And it seems like people kind of use that, or it seems like many people kind of use that as a way to say, okay, here are some basic guidelines. And that should get you to a point where you are studying with a teacher or you know more about what you want, and then you can kind of, veer off. Do you have any particular go-tos that you recommend for younger players that kind of will get them through that early, gestation period to kind of get them up to the point where, okay, now you may have some thoughts on your own or probably have a teacher or, how do you approach the beginning stages of starting players?
This is an interesting question because now I wear two hats for marketing. I'm the director of marketing for Denis Wick Products. I also just became director of marketing for United North America for pBone, and
Oh, right.
which has changed the way I think about how beginners need to start on brass instruments
Yeah.
drastically. So this is, don't I might change my mind in another month, but right now I'm kind of
Right.
convinced. One of the products I've been working with through pBone is this instrument called the pBuzz.
Right.
For me, as a trumpet player and a mom of a young kid, my son is 8 years old now, and since he was able to grab onto things, we've had this Denis Wick mouthpiece that got damaged, and it's just been sitting on a bookshelf. And Alfred will pick it up and play and buzz, and and I have stayed out of it because I do not want to be the
Right.
parent who shoves music down this kid's throat. If he likes it,
Yeah.
he likes it. But I watch him buzzing, and it was a bigger Morris Murphy mouthpiece. Wasn't like it was a small size, and his face is small too as a little kid. I love watching little kids like pick up a mouthpiece, 3, 4 year olds, and play a trumpet mouthpiece because they can play it. Their mouthpieces are so small that things like a tuba mouthpiece for them, right?
Right. Right.
So they can get a buzz. But anyway, but even with that, like I could see him trying to get bigger sounds and backing up and neck tension. And I didn't,
Yeah.
as a teacher in me, I was like, oh, you can't do, but I just wanted him to play around. Enter the P-Buzz. It's a big mouthpiece. Think
Yeah.
like a smaller trombone mouthpiece.
Right. Right.
Um,
Probably more of
and the
like a
kids,
Bach 12C trombone kind of
something
size
like that,
mouthpiece. Yeah.
yeah. And or like a alto horn, or I don't know. It's big.
Yeah.
And he picks that up, and he's been playing on the trumpet mouthpiece since he's known how. And he picks up the P-Buzz and learns he can make a farting noise on it. And this thing
Hooked.
comes with him to cartoons in the morning, and he's, in between commercials or whatever, he's buzzing on the thing, or he's trying to play music along. And my son's a big Star Wars fan, so he marches up and down the hallway playing the rhythm to the opening to Star Wars. And now he's
Right.
teaching himself
A little bit of
and
contour, maybe. Yeah.
yeah. And he's now experimenting to get a bigger sound and a smaller sound. And then I'm working on this curriculum for pBuzz for students that they can sit down and take one-on-one lessons. And he's going through all this. Anyway, this isn't a pBuzz thing. In terms of the mouthpiece, now he's been playing on this big mouthpiece. He's like, I wonder if I can take the mouthpiece off and just buzz into this tiny little tube where the receiver where the mouthpiece goes in. And I'm watching him, and starts with the back pressure that I saw with the trumpet
Sure.
mouthpiece. But
Sure.
because he has the foundation of playing through a bigger mouthpiece and blowing more air on his own without any help from me. He starts fine-tuning his face to get
Yeah.
a big open sound on this tiny tube. So he's letting his ear lead him. He's blowing correct air, and now he's getting an open sounding buzz through this tiny, tiny tube of a receiver for this mouthpiece. And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
So it made me think that what maybe we need to be starting trumpet players and brass players in general on just a standard bigger mouthpiece to get the air and the buzz going, because now they're learning it intuitively,
Right.
and they can translate that
Then they
then
can
to the next
focus in
step.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think I'm wondering if it's easier for students to focus it in rather than focus it out. So starting small and then go big.
Well, yeah, and so some of my background is kinesiology, and so I've studied motor learning, motor control, neuromuscular control of development, all sorts of things along those lines. And one of the things that you learn on that side, on the physiology side, is that if you look at infants, for example, who really don't have any motor control when they're born, like it's
Yeah.
just random behaviors. It's a sack of potatoes, right? You're carrying them around,
Yeah.
you're feeding them, trying to keep them alive for a while, but then they start to be able to like roll over. onto their stomach, right? And then they start to be able to like pick their head up. And then they start to be able to like move around. Then they start to crawl. And there's kind of a certain order of events, and it tends to go from proximal to distal. And it's usually large muscle groups first, and then it gets down to more fine motor control, right? Small muscles. So, they're able to work arms and legs before, and, a little bit of core strength before they're able to do like embouchure type things. But they yawn, they eat, they start talking. The chewing. And so those kinds of things are training the facial muscles to, kind of a small extent. But it is kind of this process of broad to fine, that kind of just happens naturally with how we learn how to move, in any kind of capacity. So it could stand to reason that when you start applying that to the brass world or the lip vibrated aerophone, genre, it would make sense that there's kind of this broad idea that then, becomes finer as you get more coordinated.